But I joined the Scottish pipe band, and that was when my life unfolded.
Welcome to You Belong, the podcast where stories come to life, hosted by Pastor Nate. In each episode, we'll learn that every name has a story, and every story matters to God. So let's journey together and discover the stories that unite us all. This is You Belong.
All right, I am so glad to have my friends Steven and Sandy with me today. Why don't you guys tell me where you came from and where did you go? And who wants to start first? Wow, Sandy, you're not jumping up and down.
Well, I've always been shy, so I grew up in St. John. My mother, their family were the original from people in Plastrock. My father was from Tracadie, so I guess I'm covering the Brunswick good.
You're all across. Very good. Sandy, where are you from?
I was from Dogtown originally, and we moved down here when I was very young, and I grew up here pretty well. And then I moved to St. John to get a job, and I met Stephen.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
What was life like growing up in? How long were you in St. John for, Stephen? Like, did you grow up there, or were you just born
Well,
there?
I was born there.
What part of St. John were you born? Like, were you?
Out
Did you
by the
hang out
airport.
By the airport. Oh, by Loch Lomond, out that way.
Out Loch Lomond, yeah.
Loch Lomond. I was on the east side too,
Yeah.
right behind Simon's High School is where I grew up.
What school?
Simon's High School, which would have been
Heatherway?
Yeah, Heatherway one. The one that's right by the big high
That
school
didn't
there.
exist when I went. I was younger.
Where would you have gone to high school?
I went to Millersville North High School.
How old are you?
So going on 73.
I'm trying to
Dinosaur
think about if
Club.
you wouldn't know my dad. I feel like my dad went there. Maybe not. I don't know. Well, what was it like growing up there in St. John? What were some of your favorite things you did?
Well, it was as young. My mother was a big influence on us. She got me going to church and different things. And but I joined the Scottish pipe band, and that was when my life unfolded. My eyes opened up.
How old were you when you did that?
10 or 12.
Oh, so you were doing it for quite a while then.
25, 30 years.
Come on. So did you play the bagpipes? Did you play the drums? You did the drums?
I was a tenor and bass drummer and drum major. And I also did maintenance for bagpipes. And I actually ended up running my own machine shop too.
They're pretty complicated, yeah? Bagpipes? Like,
The old, yeah, they were. They needed repair. Most of the pipers were too busy trying to learn to play them. And I had more time in my hands, so they got me to repair them.
did you have any siblings at all growing up? Did you have
Any
any
what?
siblings, brothers, sisters?
I had 2 brothers. I was the youngest.
Okay. What were your brothers' names?
Irvin and Jackie.
What were they like?
Well, my Mickey or Irvin, we got along quite good when we started hunting
Okay.
because we were both carrying guns.
Yes.
There's 6 years between each one of us, so it was
That's a big gap then.
big gap. So we weren't really that close.
That's how you were in your teens or like 20s kind of thing?
When eventually, when I was 25, we started to bond a bit.
Did you guys go on vacations at all as a family or anything like that?
Well, as young, our family, we'd go to Jacket River, Plastrock, Lake Utopia, Bangor. As a family, we traveled a bit.
That's cool. What would you say, Andy? What was it like growing up in Dokes? Did you grow up in Doketown? Then you moved to Miramichi?
I was only 10 when we left there.
Okay.
So
What were you doing in Doketown? What was happening as a
Not
under
much.
10-year-old in Doketown?
Not much.
No.
School. I hated school.
Why? Why'd you hate school so much?
There were some teachers that were not very good.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Good old teacher. Sometimes you get some good ones. Sometimes there's a little bit
Yeah.
of bad apples
One-
at times.
Once in a while, we get a good one. They didn't last long.
Did you have siblings at all?
Yeah, I have four sisters,
4 sisters. Okay.
and I have a brother.
Okay.
Now, he's actually my cousin,
Okay.
but my mother delivered him when he was born, and she brought him up from 6 weeks old, so he's really my brother.
Oh wow. Oh, that's pretty cool.
She delivered 2 babies. She wasn't a midwife,
Okay.
but her grandmother was.
So how old she would have been when she would have delivered the babies?
Gosh, Roger'd be 3 years younger than me, so she's, in her 40s or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's been pretty intense to do. That's pretty cool to do. Yeah, what was it like growing up in Doketown after? Or you moved from Doketown to Miramichi?
To Miramichi on Jane Street, and we lived there for a year. We kind of moved around a bit because they had separated.
Okay.
So it was like you find a place and
And you just whatever,
be
you bunker
happy
down
and-
for a little bit. Yeah.
maybe a year here and a year there. It was
Okay.
all like back Red Bank Way and
Okay.
out here again, and then back on CI Road, and then back to the
Oh,
place
you're
she
everywhere. You are everywhere, eh?
bought. And she bought the place on Old King George.
Old King George. Okay,
Right
very
at the
cool.
end. Yeah.
And did you live in St. John for a bit, or did you go to school? What happened?
No, I went to school here in Miramichi Valley.
Okay.
And I graduated here, and then there wasn't very many jobs to be had here at the time. So I went to St. John and met Stephen there.
St. John. How old you been when you met Stephen?
23, I do believe.
23. Just strapping young man, eh? Working the shipyard. What were you doing in St.
No.
John? Were you working the shipyard there? Because where were we at?
Not
in
at
St.
that
John?
time.
No, I was working at school board.
School board.
Yeah, I was there for 12 years.
You probably did not take much smack off of anybody, eh? Like you probably ran that like a good ship, eh?
I ignored a lot of people, but was, we all would like to think we're rough and tough, but
In different places. You
yeah,
went around.
different ways.
What does that look like working for the school board? So what would you have had to have done for that?
I was worked the maintenance department.
Okay.
We would do boilers. If the heating system went down during the winter, we immediately go in and make sure the school could open up the next day. We'd have to retube boilers, rebuild pumps,
Oh, man.
ventilation systems. And
Yeah. And that's just something, were you always naturally good at that kind of stuff, or did you do schooling for that? What did that look like?
Well, eventually, first I worked at a shipyard, which gave me an introduction to industry, and then I got laid off there and went worked a machine shop for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it was always around industry maintenance and different things, and then eventually I went back to the shipyard,
Shipyard at St. John, or did you go to
Halifax,
one?
St. John and Halifax.
Okay. Where did you guys meet? You met in St. John, but did you meet somewhere? Oh, here we go. She got a big smile on her face. Where did you guys meet? Oh, did you see Robert?
We'll call it a dance hall.
Yes, just say you're at a bar.
Yeah, I was recovering from a very toxic relationship, and I was on my way to be a what you call a barfly quite
A
well.
barfly, okay. Yeah. At the 3 Mile, eh? Was it? Or was
Oh, I lived in the 3 Mile.
Did you? Was that 3 Mile? It's all burnt. They took that down now. It's not there anymore.
They say it was the roughest place in St. John, but I felt very comfortable there.
Yeah.
And a lot of good people.
Yeah. So you met him at one of these dance halls, wherever it was. So what was it about? How long? Like, how did you guys get? Did you guys just walk up to each other? Like, how did that all?
No.
Someone introduce you to each other?
No.
Oh, here we go. I love the smiles and the chuckles coming. Here we go.
He was sitting on a stool and me, and then there was a guy on the other side of me. And he turned to me, I thought, and said hello and started talking. So I started talking to him, but he was talking to the guy beside me. So that's how we met.
I was very distracted in a lot of ways.
I
Yeah.
guess
But
so.
the truth of the matter, after going on 43 years, it was at the right time for us to meet, and I believe God.
So you guys
was
met when
got-
you're in your 40s. Is that what you just said? No.
No.
You're going. I was thinking you're going. like, you're
43
going,
and
marriage.
43 years and married,
I was gonna say.
and
This
it
year.
was just the right time. God put us together, and we.
Do you ever think about moments? Because I find it interesting. That's how you guys started meeting. If that guy wasn't there, you know what I mean? Would you have turned to talk to her? You know what I mean? Because like it's interesting because she's just like.
Well, probably I talked to everybody.
You would have. Okay, that's cool. But that's interesting. So then you guys started chatting. Then I was like, did you guys exchange phone numbers? Is that what it worked?
No, he drove
think-
me home, and,
Oh my.
Yeah.
he had a lot of politeness about him.
So it's all just a facade. Was it after a while?
Yeah.
On his bike? Did he have a bike then? 'Cause it
No,
was just
old
car.
truck.
Old truck.
Old
Okay.
truck, same as he has now.
Is it not the same one?
I had several years of biking before that, and
Yeah.
it got a little safer to drive 4 wheels instead of 2.
Yeah, I would think so. Probably a good idea.
Being young and more brazen than I should be on a motorcycle, but
That's all right. And so you guys started dating. How long were you guys dating before you guys got engaged? What did that look like?
we ended up probably went together for
Couple of years.
a couple of years, and then we
Okay.
Got married.
All right.
Yeah, we looked for a church and
Yeah.
we got married.
Where was the church you guys got married?
Waterloo Street Baptist Church.
Okay. Is that still there?
No.
Not there anymore, eh? Okay.
It's
It's
there,
turned-
but it's something else.
Stern,
now.
I think it's a woman's shelter or something now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what's there now. Okay. Interesting.
It's right in the heart of Waterloo Street, which is
Pretty well
basic-
across from the old
Yeah,
hospital.
it's a rough
Yeah.
spot. Waterloo's a rough spot.
it's turned into a very
It wasn't that rough then.
poor area. No, it wasn't that.
No, it wasn't back then. No, it is. It's pretty
is
rough
now.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of homeless and a lot of drug addicts and like everywhere.
Yeah, that's right.
That happens, and they take over areas and.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all right. So you guys did find church there. You're there. You got married in
Yeah.
that church, which
Yeah.
is, that's exciting.
And we were baptized together in
Yeah.
in that
oh,
church.
that's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you touched a little quickly on this motorcycle. Like did you stop biking after that? Like what was biking like before?
I just
Not during that night or whatever.
it was easier to work with a truck, and then
Okay.
and biking was just a way of getting around, and
Okay.
it just wasn't convenient at the time. You know,
Did you ever have any big run-ins with anybody on the bike?
you mean like an accident, or
Just like people? Was there any like people? Did you run with any cool
I've
gangs or
had
anything
people
like
try
that?
to put me off the road. I've had people try to put their brakes on and intimidate you, but
No one can intimidate you.
well, things happen.
Very good. So you guys get married. So then you said you went to Halifax for the shipyard. What was it like in the shipyard? What were you doing?
Well, I worked at St. John Yard for a lot of years.
Okay.
I worked the school board for 12 years when we were together.
Oh,
and
you're still okay.
And then we went to, I switched over to St. John Yard for the frigate program.
Okay.
Got several years out of that. And then that went down, and the opportunity to come up to go to Halifax, which I never had to travel before in my life.
Okay.
I traveled, but for jobs, and I went down, and I think it was the first week or two, I ended up quitting.
Oh, right away. Okay.
Yeah, I said, I've never had to travel. This ain't for me. And then I come back to St. John, and we had a place in town at that point, and jobs are just hard to get. And they called me out of the one day and said, when you want to give it another try, and I went down, and I ended up working down there as a iron worker, and eventually I ended up as a engine fitter, iron worker, and I also worked on the launching crew,
Okay.
launching the ships.
Would that be pretty intense doing that kind of stuff? Like, yeah, because you're trying to direct the ships in or out, or is that kind of what you're doing on that?
We would build the ships in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Then we on a rail a track system, bring it out to the turntable, and it would turn the ship and point it toward the water, and then like a rail system would bring it down to the water. And there are a lot of times we'd be working 24 hours straight, just
Okay.
different shifts, because you had to prepare. A lot of times we'd go in 4 or 5 in the morning, get ahead of if we were flipping units, or we were talking 50, 100-ton units, so we didn't want people around.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And but it was in the jacking crew, like you'd be running a hydraulic board with 60, 300-ton jacks.
Okay.
So it was,
Were you ever have to be pretty high on those things at all, like on the ships?
Oh,
working
I've
on?
been at the highest point of the ship constantly,
How
and
high would that
I'd be
be?
at the lowest point. I'd be right through for every end of the ship.
What would be like the highest part, like highest time, like point you would be at?
The highest point would be the mast and or the crane system. We'd
Yeah.
be up there and repairing the top of the crane, putting new shivs in, new cables, and
Is that like 80 feet high? Like how high would that be? Probably higher than that, maybe. I don't know nothing about boats.
I don't know.
You don't know about high. It was high enough to go, look, it
Yeah.
would hurt if I fell off.
Just imagine the ship and then imagine the crane at the highest point. That's
I guess so.
where I was at.
Yeah.
The highest point would have a light or a crane, and I'd be up there.
Okay.
And then a lot of times we'd be underneath the ship, and a lot of ship repair would come in and repair, pull off the propeller blades.
Mm-hmm.
Each blade was 4 or 5 ton,
Oh my gosh. Okay.
and we manually would take them off or pull the shaft completely out of the
very
ship.
good. So you were doing that. Did you have kids at this point while you were working in the shipyard? Did you have some kids back home?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, we had the 2 girls.
Okay.
And when we moved to Halifax, or they ended up going to Dartmouth High School. They were in junior high at that time, and then they went to the high school.
So you guys moved, so you weren't in St. John for that, like you weren't having to travel back and forth from Halifax to
For
St.
a
John.
while, yeah.
For a little bit you were doing that.
Traveled back and forth to St. John, and then one trip back, I started falling asleep.
Okay.
And when I got home, I just said, call the real estate agent because we're all done this.
Okay, it was just like that, eh? Yeah.
It was time to make a move.
Yeah.
The girls didn't like that.
No. How old would they have been when you moved?
Actually, Stacy was 16,
Oh.
Chantel would have been 13, and they had just started in
middle
September.
school and
I
high
think it was
school, probably.
October
Yeah,
when we left.
Yikes.
Yeah.
got to do what you got to do,
Yeah.
and it was simple as that.
Yeah, that would have been, I get that, yeah. So what were you doing during this time, Sandy? Like, were you at home? Did you have a job? What were
I
you
had
looking
a
at
job.
doing?
I was working at bed and breakfast.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, I loved that job. I stayed there 4 years.
Okay.
And when we left, we left and went to Dartmouth,
Okay.
lived there. I always took jobs somewhere,
Yeah,
you
somewhere,
know,
just doing
except for
something, yeah.
when I had Stacy, I stayed home for 11 years.
Oh, okay, okay.
And then
that's
after
great.
that, you kind of have to get back in the
Yeah.
swing of things.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Just take whatever you could get,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
If you don't have university, you take what you can get.
That's what you gotta do. Yes, you gotta do something, yeah. So, like, after you were done high school, you're just like, all right, let's figure out what we're gonna do kind of thing?
Well, when I went to St. John, I was working in dry cleaners.
Okay,
It
very
was
cool.
really hot in the summer.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
terrible. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they probably wouldn't have had air conditioning. Would they have air conditioning in there and stuff?
No.
No.
Especially whenever you're pregnant and in there, you're even worse and you're
You're
sick
done.
all the time. That's not good.
Yeah.
But yeah, time goes by.
Okay.
You don't even realize it and you're this age.
So fast.
know.
Where your daughters at now?
Stacy's in Wisconsin. She
Wisconsin. What brought her down to Wisconsin?
has her husband
Oh, her husband. There you go.
Job down
Classic.
there.
Okay.
and
What does he do?
It's like a manager in
apartment buildings.
apartments and business complex. He does the leasing.
Oh, okay, that'd be a big.
He's
okay.
he's got dual citizenship.
Okay. Very cool.
They've
And the
got
other daughter's in Charlottetown, PEI.
Charlottetown, very good.
Chantel, yeah,
Yeah, and how many grandkids you guys got?
4.
You got 4. You got Wesley, then
Ezekiel, Malachi, and
Okay.
Amari.
Amari.
Yeah.
Amari, that's a different one. It's a different name.
They're all far enough away. We don't have to babysit.
It has its pros and its cons.
We would like to, but
Yeah, that's the tricky part, right?
yeah.
But so they're in PEI. What is that's Stacy? That's there.
No,
Stacy's-
Chantel and
Chantel,
Wesley are in PEI.
Okay. Okay. Very good. What should they do in PEI?
Chantel works from home.
Okay.
She does paperwork for a company that puts up, what's it called?
Bed, not bed and breakfast, but
Can't think of what it's
They
called.
ran out.
Airbnb.
Yes,
Airbnb.
yes, and
Yeah, that's a
the
big
woman-
thing now.
yeah.
Airbnbs and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, she's lucky she's got the job. She was a prison guard for a while.
It's a little bit different. Of a
Yeah,
job.
yeah. It was a lot of hard work at nights.
It would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would
So
be.
this keeps her home, and her Wesley's like 13 almost. Oh no, 14 almost 15.
Say he's 14 going on 45, man. That's almost like a mature guy. I know, man.
He's getting bigger.
Yeah, yeah, that's good.
he's a good kid.
How'd you guys end up here in back to Miramichi in this area here?
My mother took 2 strokes,
Okay.
and my sisters needed me.
Okay.
So
All right.
yeah,
All right.
we came back for that, and we had already bought our piece of land.
I was at the point of being retired,
Yeah.
and we just wanted to get out of there. I knew we wanted to come back to New Brunswick, but with her mother being sick, Sandy and I, we took in my mother at one point,
Okay.
and it was only fair to want to do something for her mother, and
Makes sense.
we moved up here in
How long ago would that have been?
2008,
15
2009.
years.
15 years. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Were you guys? Did you guys always go to this church here? Did you go around different ones? Try and
We
check stuff?
did go to a couple of them, and we
Okay.
decided to come back to this one.
Yeah.
We felt comfortable here.
Newcastle United Baptist Church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Daniel was here then.
Daniel,
Yeah.
Original church I started in was called the Full Gospel Assembly,
Okay.
and
say, is
it
that?
is now the theater in St. John.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yes.
And
yes.
it was a Pentecostal church.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a kid, that's where I went.
Oh, there's
But
something.
Sandy and I, when we went to church, it was Waterloo Street
Waterloo Street,
Baptist
yeah.
Church. So we've always been in the Baptist church.
Yeah. Where were you at in Nova Scotia? Was there a church in Nova Scotia at all?
Bethel.
Bethel United Baptist on Windmill Road.
Okay.
It's just a small church.
Small church. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you guys always connect when you were in church? Like I feel like you're just both like you're going to be doing something. Like you're not just going to be attending for the most part. You want to be heavily involved, or at least in the background, behind the scenes, helping out and stuff. Has that kind of been like your forte kind of thing?
Yeah, I'd say we always were involved, whether they liked it or not.
Stop it.
I don't know. I worked a lot of work during that time,
Yeah.
so I didn't do a lot of in the background. I was working for Salvation Army
Oh, cool.
stores,
Okay.
clothing stores. So it was a lot of
Did you ever work at the one here in Miramichi at all?
no.
Just the one out there?
No, I worked for the food bank, once a week.
Okay, that's good.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Okay. very good.
keeps me busy
Keeps you
enough
busy. Yeah.
for now.
Yeah. That's good. So you guys have been at this church for, you said, like 15 years or so
Yeah.
now. Yeah. Very good. And so what is that like? There's been pastors have come and they've gone, and now we see some. You guys are now doing some pretty cool ministry happening here. Like Stephen, you're always helping people, doing
Well,
stuff.
it's the
You helped
only
me with my
place
sub
that-
pump, which is working great at my house. We had lots of rain. You saved my basement, so thank you for that. But you're always hands on with
I
stuff.
always find that the people will put up with me. They let me in. So
I remember when I first met you, I think within the first meeting, you're like, no, I'm Mr. Grumpy. And I'm all this time, I'm like, I don't know what your problem is. You seem not grumpy. And it's like,
I can't-
I don't know what your problem is. You're not grumpy. I don't know what's going on.
I always like to agitate and tease
Yeah.
people. So
He's not grumpy, is he, Sandy?
No, not really.
He's not paying you to say that, is he?
No,
I always
not
like to
today anyway.
tell people things they don't want to hear. That's one of my things I
Listen,
got to
we
work
need
through.
people like that. People have to be okay with saying what they don't want us to hear.
A little
That's
too
good.
open at times.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can all be a little bit, but sometimes it's good.
I'm learning. I'm learning.
But you guys are both in different small groups, I believe, right? So, Steve, whose group are you in right now? You're with
Jerry's Wednesday night men's group.
men's group, yeah. So that's good. What do you guys? Are you guys doing a study right now at all in that, or
Yeah. Revelation.
Revelation? Okay, that's an intense book to go through.
I tell them I spent most of even though I attended church, I would spend most of my time running away from Bible study.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I thought I knew it all.
Okay. All right. There we go.
I guess I don't.
I was talking to my daughter Ren about something, and she's like, she was complaining about something. She's like, "Why do I gotta go to church? I already know everything." I'm like, you know nothing, dude. You know nothing. You'll never stop learning. And you just recently joined a group too. You were telling me before we went on the air. And whose group are you in?
Mariette's.
Mariette's group. Okay.
And it's really good. She's really smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good being like in a group with like
Yeah.
people, like you're all learning together.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you probably have people who, people have been walking with Jesus forever and who are some brand new, and you're all
Yeah.
over the place. So it's good to be accountable and learn together and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you guys just started helping out a ministry that's local to Miramichi this past fall.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that really quickly with Jeremy's Mission? I think it's called. And so
It's a great.
what's that look like? What do you guys do for that?
We just make breakfast sandwiches for Claudine Morris. She's the one that started the mission, and it deals directly with the homeless. Actually, we went down one day, filled in for her just lately, and we met people that had lived in their car, sleep in their car, people that lived in the woods, but then there was people that had enough money to have a place to stay, but they didn't have enough money to eat. And so, and she's remarkable because she encourages these people to do better. She'll pray for them, and she's a remarkable person. So what we do as a group of the church is we get together and produce sandwiches that she can hand out. She hands out 40 to 50 a day. And our last gathering, we made 384 sandwiches.
And one time, 384.
Yeah, we're trying to do it once a month.
Okay.
And we're trying to increase each time we keep increasing our numbers. We have certain budgets that we have to work through with, and we're trying to, because what budget we have, we're trying to think of what are we going to do in 5, 6, 10 months. So we can't just spend it all at once.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
just
you
try to
spread it
budget
out.
it properly.
Yeah. And their breakfast sandwiches that they are, and I heard they're better than anything around. Eh? That's what I'm hearing. I've walked in, I've seen you guys like putting them in I'm like, those look good.
Yeah.
They look good. Like they're not just like these.
Well, the way the people, we pay attention to the expiry dates, but what we're trying to do is give them the best. Not just throw something together. We're trying to give them the best quality sandwich that we can.
That's so good. Yeah.
And then they deserve it. They need a little energy to start their day. You don't know what they've been through. And there's a couple individuals that have gone to Village of Hope and detox centers and different things that I've met, and how they've changed their lives is just remarkable. Just who they are today is just incredible.
Yeah.
Certainly God's had a touch in their life.
Yeah. It's so good because there's, like any city, there's a need. You know what I mean? And it's great to see that you guys are instrumental to that, and the group's instrumental to that, is helping meet a need and being the hands and feet of Jesus, like taking it quite literally, which is awesome. And so that's encouraging to hear, and it probably makes you guys feel good. Helping other people is always an important thing, right?
And it's teaching us so much too. Like I've worked all my life, so I could have a little bit of a different attitude than someone who has never worked, but I'm learning to accept people and encourage them that have no life skills. They haven't been taught how to discipline in life. That you have an apartment, you have to pay a bill, or you have neighbors that you have to be reasonable with, and or people with addictions. I mean, there's a few of them that I've talked to. One individual, he plays guitar, he plays a fiddle. He used to be a professional crack filler, but he's in the bottom of the gutter right now with addictions. But to talk to him, he's always been reasonably pleasant, and it gives you a different perspective.
Yeah, no, it does. Gives you a big different perspective of life and stuff. So.
And you meet people that are seniors that it might be a woman and she only has so much money, so she has to live in with somebody, and they really don't have enough money to be buying food and that sort of thing. So
because it's not always, because I've had conversations, and I was at the mayor's breakfast there last year, and they're talking about that. They're talking about the homelessness and talking about how they're seeing a higher rise, and not just people with addictions, but it's people who genuinely just cannot it's you're one missed paycheck away from being homeless. You know what I mean? Like they had a job and they don't have a job now. What, you know what I mean? So it's a pretty intense time right now, but it's great to know that you're able to at least.
It's too bad we couldn't start some tiny homes or something for
They're starting to. I think
I hope so.
I think they're working towards that of increase, because they've increased some housing and stuff, some halfway houses and stuff like that, and out of the cold. They've done some interesting stuff this last year.
Yeah.
I know they've got more in their budget this year to build even more of those kind of
Right.
homes and stuff, which would be good.
Like
the
I
thing
say,
the thing is, how many people can afford $2,000 rent?
Oh, it's nuts.
There's people out there surviving, on very little money, and the day of $600 rent apartments are long gone. I mean,
No, that's what I had in Ross. It was $700. I got heat, lights, cable.
Tell them how much you spent in Halifax.
$400.
Oh, I would stay in a one room. It was like a dormitory, $62.50 a week, and I had a bed, a dresser, a sink, a window, and that was my room.
You got in the window. The window's included.
And then we had common washrooms and kitchens, and it was
That's
a
not
42
always
unit, and very rarely you would go to the kitchen to make anything because it was a little
Not
rough.
good.
A little
But
rough.
I met people
Yeah.
there, all kinds of people. The addiction. There's people that were thieves, addicted, or just barely getting by. And I interacted with a lot of them and got along quite well with them.
That's good.
And they're just trying to survive like anyone.
That's right. That's what we're trying to do. Survive and thrive. Trying to do. But listen, guys, I want to thank you so much for coming, just sitting down, having a conversation. I love hearing just a little bit about your childhood, how you guys met at the.
Well, there's
the
a lot of
dance.
stories I didn't tell you.
Oh, I know. There's lots there. There's lots there. We'll have back for
I best to keep them quiet.
Part 3. We don't let going on the air. But just to hear about your story, how you guys met and where you guys went to and traveling around and stuff. And with Jeremy's mission, and that reminds me, and just, every name has a story, right? Even these people that you're coming in contact with. Right?
And what I find too is we started out making sandwiches and we increased our number in sandwiches, and they need them. They go through so many. But it's also, as it grows, there's more areas that we can get involved in. It's unfolding before us to help the poor and encourage them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's always ample opportunities, and we can definitely take a look.
There's so many more things that can happen.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. Well, thanks so much, guys, for reminding everyone else who's watching, listening, that every name has a story, and every story matters to God.